Boy oh boy, do I love cargo, and I like salvage equally as much, and this year just keeps delivering more and more of the things that I love, cargo being a big part of that bounty. Now we've just had an ISC that was boring for the first part, sorry Santokyo fans, and awesome in the second. The Hull C seems to be on track for a release this year, touch wood, and while the details on the continuation of the cargo refactor were slim, the fact that the larger SCU containers needed for the hauling behemoth should come alongside gives me just the warmest feeling inside. But I'm not here to talk about the Hull C just yet, that'll be another video later this year. What I want to talk about is what's in our hands right now, and has been tweaked with the release of 3.19.1. Citizens, my name's Beard of Oz, and today I'll be talking about cargo, but not the kind you buy, nor the kind you specifically steal. No, today I'll be talking about loot cargo. That's right, it may lack the shining lights and fancy sound effects of a loot chest from an MMO, but it might be the closest thing to one if you don't count finding a piece of subscriber flair in a red crate. If you enjoy this video or learn anything by the end, I'd appreciate you letting me know by hitting that like button, and if you've watched some of my videos before but haven't subscribed yet, I hope this video is the one that earns that coveted click. I also stream on Twitch, I'll put a link to that in the description below. Also, a very special shout out to my channel members displayed on the screen now. If you'd like to support the channel, you can join for just $1 with emotes and badges as my way of saying thank you. Alright, let's dive in. Now, just in case you're new to Star Citizen, or you've been taking a break as it goes through some issues, I'll catch you up on what I'm talking about. Since 3.18, cargo has been physicalized in the beginning stages of the cargo refactor, opening the way for those that like to move cargo from one ship to another to do exactly that. And with salvage taking its first baby steps with hull scraping, and the introduction of 3.19's component physicalization, and random cargo being found in the salvage missions introduced in that same update, the dream of many a sci-fi fan has begun to become real. With salvage missions becoming a popular form of loot boxing in 3.19, the latest update has taken it a step further with a balance pass to those salvage missions, reducing the tier of value you're likely to plumb from the ruined vessels while also increasing the likelihood you'll find something. I spent a few hours hammering away at Star Citizen's version of the pokies in order to bring the following information to you. The legal salvage missions, starting at a measly 1,000 aUEC and working up to 50,000 to buy-in, appeared to hold primarily legal goods. For the most part, a modest number, generally 3 crates of commodities such as gold, borace, bexolite, and other such materials. The value attained from these hardly offsetting the amount paid, and so seemingly balanced in such a way that you'd stand to gain more by actually salvaging. Speaking of actually salvaging, it does appear that in order to progress to the larger and more expensive ships, you'll need to complete some of these missions. That means you'll need to have a few of those missions finalized, which is done by scraping the majority of the hull. If you don't happen to own a vulture or reclaimer, you can have a fellow citizen lend you one, or even share the mission with you as they complete it. Once you've reached the invisible tier that gains you access to the 50k buy-ins, you're good to go, as abandoning these missions does not roll that rank backwards. In the time I ran the legal salvage, the vast majority of what I found was legal cargo, with only one instance netting me some maize and slam. Roughly 50% of the time a ship had cargo, but very rarely did it offset the overall investment I had made. Whether by design or just bad luck, I'd say this is more distracting gameplay than lottery in disguise. The legal cargo, primarily being minerals that have recently had their values adjusted with the mining changes introduced with 3.19, are not considered stolen, so will not incur a penalty should you be scanned by security, and also can be sold at the TDDs for their regular sale value. Nice! The risky salvage missions, ranging from 10,000 to 30,000 aUEC for their buy-in, showed similarly smooth cargo. Found in Hurston around the moons in the asteroid clusters and in the rings of Crusaders Yella, these missions never exceeded more than 5 crates per wreck. For me, the 10k missions generally held legal commodities, and the 30k missions were the ones that made you a notable profit. almost always carrying 4 crates. The commodities found within were disappointingly consistent Slam, Widow, Maze, and the black sheep of the batch, the legal Quantanium, selling for a total of 140,000 Alpha UEC per rec, so minus the buy-in of 30k, netting you a profit of 110. Definitely a far cry from the 400k payout when Weevil eggs and Ozian hides were on the menu, though certainly more consistent, at least for my testing. During this batch, not once did I encounter NPC vessels, whereas pre-point 1 it seemed that an unusual number of highly aggressive ships would flood the area within 5 minutes of the 30 minutes declared for the mission. Hopefully, they were just a side effect of 19's dreaded overspawn of NPCs and not a roll of the digital dice. I spent roughly an hour and a half punching out as many of the 30k risky salvage missions as I could in the Crusader region, with the 10k ones mixed in while I waited for them to refresh, collecting roughly 40 SCU of cargo, a mixture of legal and illegal commodities. Taking myself over to Delvin's in Microtech, I sold the illegal commodities for 863,000 Alpha UEC, and then to the Commons at New Babbage to sell the legal, gaining me 197,000 Alpha UEC, for a total of just over 1 million. Taking into account the investment costs, 230,000, a total profit of 830. Compared to the legal salvage, the risky missions certainly seem a much better investment, with a hefty return on time and money committed. This is of course based on my experience and may be subject to individual variation. The Lawless salvage missions, requiring a hefty 150,000 Alpha UEC buy-in, are not as frequent, being blasted out to citizens in a randomized pattern for a limited time. Usually out on the fringes of Stanton space, these missions cannot be shared with party members, so group work requires either multi-crew work or the mission holder taking point and their party members jumping to them. I have yet to encounter other players at these sites, leading me to believe that either the buy-in price has soured players to the mission, or that the spread is so scattered that the majority of ranked players don't receive the notification at the same time. The times I did get the mission and arrived at the location, the ships were untouched and I received a small profit on my initial investment. Both times, 6 derelict ships were present, with only 1 or 2 vessels holding cargo. Both times, Gasping Weevil Eggs and Maze were present in one ship, with the legal Quantanium and gold being present in the other. While not as large a profit margin as the risky jobs, the infrequency of the missions becoming available to me didn't allow for a properly expanded sample size, so the likelihood that the RNG on this particular mission is more varied than my 2 instances imply. I'll certainly be continuing to take this mission as it comes, as it is yet to yield a negative value. So all in all, how has point 1 affected the increasingly popular gambling method? Personally, I feel that the balancing on the values and frequency is a positive one. While it may not output as high a potential return, the increased reliability of the cargo contained within yielded, at least to me, a clear profit in the case of the risky salvage missions, not even taking into account the RNC that one would acquire from the ships were they inclined. The legal salvage seems to have been re-established as primarily a loop for those in the hull scraping trade, with any cargo found intended as a form of rebate on the initial investment. The Lawless salvage, vocally intended as a way to encourage PvP over resources by the developers, has yet to inspire such a result and needs, and will likely receive, another balance to hold much greater return to those that take the mission and potentially be forced to defend it, or oust those already doing so. Perhaps a return of the coveted Ozian hides that have been seemingly pulled from the current loot pool. And there you have it, an overview of the changes to the Star Citizen Pokies, aka salvage missions. Have you found any hauls bigger than I did, or have you experienced much the same? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video or learned something of value, consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. If you'd like to go one step further in supporting the channel, you can become a member today for just $1. I also stream on Twitch. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Be sure to check out this video here. YouTube, for some reason, thinks it's your jam. As always, citizens, stay safe in the verse, and I'll catch you all next time.